especially to an audience full of journalists. But I will try because I have no choice. You give me no choice. Madam Secretary, Mrs. Ram Patro, Sir Mantava, Amit, Sarika, thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you. I had a slight problem as to how I would address certain people in this group. With Amit, I can call him Amit. I've known him that long. Sarika, I've known for a long time, so I could call her Sarika. Madam Malarana Patro, I've known for a long, long time. And as Madam Secretary referred to her as auntie, I was also toying with the idea of using the same phrase too. Then I looked at myself in the mirror and I've aged. I've become absolutely white and grey and she's ageless. How do I call her auntie? I hope Sikkim Express becomes and remains as ageless as her. You've all invited me as a judge of the High Court, and I thank you for that. But I would rather be invited as the grandson of late Kashi Raj Pradhan. Many of the young ones may not know that late Kashi Raj Pradhan, my grandfather, was also a journalist. He, during the period of monarchy, gave voice to the voiceless in his magazine called Kanchenjunga. What my grandfather and Kanchenjunga did during the time of the monarch, immediately after the merger, Sikkim Express has been doing that, and I think doing it excellently. Mr. Ram Patro, late Ram Patro, is a figure I remember from school days. Somehow, I don't know whether you can correct me if I am wrong, I used to notice him walking in the Namnang area with a bluish, dark blue coat, without any tie, shirt, trousers. But that is the image I have. But then because since I was connected so much with my grandfather as a journalist, I would notice him because he was a journalist of excellence. Sikkim Express, I have seen the journey. And I know a little bit of, how it works, being a lawyer, and many of you may not know, I've told you about my grandfather who was a journalist. My father, late father Bhimraj Pradhan, you know him as the law secretary for 27 years. But before he got into law, he did a course in journalism in Bombay. It is a different thing that he did not pursue a career in journalism. But I'll tell you a little secret about myself. As I graduated in Bombay, and I used to stay in this area called Churchgate. Now, Churchgate, I don't know, many of you must have been to Bombay and seen Churchgate area. But when I was studying there, my hostel used to be very close to the Churchgate railway station. And opposite the Churchgate railway station, there used to be a wall, a pavement, and I would see young boys, very young, coming from the lowest income group, and they would be smoking what is known in the drug world as brown sugar. And it affected me immensely. even as a young student in Bombay, it affected me immensely. I did not know how to give vent to my feelings, so I started writing to various newspapers about what was happening in the streets. What I also noticed is, next to these boys smoking brown sugar, there would be policemen, absolutely oblivious of what is happening there. And this was an experience which I cannot forget. And many letters I wrote, again and again. After many of these attempts, one newspaper carried my little letter to the editor. And I thought I had been able to give a voice to the voiceless. And I think that is your role, isn't it? सत्य को खोज्ने त तपाईहरुको सबभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट कार्य हो. And there is a connect with what I do as a judge and what you do as a lawyer, as a journalist. तपाईहरुको main role is the satya ko khoj. So when you talk about satya, I remember this line I wrote in one of my judgments. And I said, and this was after a lot of deep thinking, that truth is not always in black and white. Sometimes it is in shades of gray. And sometimes these shades of gray itself is the truth. Now when I see this, I say to me as a judge, because this is the predicament we face every day in our journey as a judge, judging for somebody else. And I know as a journalist how difficult it is for you to look for that truth. What you see may not be the truth. What is immensely visible and glaringly visible to you may not be the truth. Truth may be hidden somewhere. Sometimes it is in shades of gray. How do we sift this truth out? And that's the commonality between what I do and what all of you do. To the young journalists who are present here, this search for truth, this thirst for truth, if it dies out, you can never be a successful journalist. I don't think you can be a successful lawyer if you lose this. And you cannot be a successful judge if you lose this. This desire, this search, this thirst, this unquenchable thirst for truth is something which has to be burning within you. If that remains, it does not matter. Because you are the mirror of our society. You will state to us exactly what we are. Today, if Sikkim Express is carrying an article of what is happening to the young girls under the POCSO jurisdiction, girls are being raped. Look at our facts and figures. Young children. If Sikkim Express is putting that up, that's a reflection of our society. That's the mirror we have to see. We may be ashamed of it, but we got to see it. And when we see it, we need to ask ourselves, how do I then proceed further? And how do I rectify this? If journalists lose sight of what is happening in our society, then journalism, where does it go? What is the role of a journalist? And in this journey of print media, I must give huge commendation to the Sikkim Express, because I know how print media works. I've seen it in Delhi, I've seen it in Bombay. Ad revenue is such an important thing. And in Sikkim, the major part of the ad, at least till what I knew, used to come from the government. If the government is giving a huge amount of revenue to a particular newspaper, then how do you show the mirror to the government? Is a question I used to ask myself. To be able to survive all these in a place like Sikkim, and then to give this truth out to us, I think we must commend the Sikkim Express for surviving so long and doing it so well. For me, as I see it as an outsider, survival itself is difficult. And for each of you journalists, I understand that difficulty as well. And when I heard Mr. Pramod Giri speak, I realized the struggle he went through. When Mr. Thabi talked about, I realized the struggle that each of us had a journey. Each of us had a journey. This journey is not going to be beautiful all the time. It's going to be difficult. The terrain is difficult. The travels are difficult. There are so many ups and downs. And in spite of that, to be able to come up here and reach this level, I must commend all of you who have been awarded today. I think that journey speaks for itself. I don't think you need a speech to then recognize this. You are the path breakers. You are the people who have shown the way to the young journalist. As Mr. Pramod Giri said, it's a huge responsibility. But that responsibility is upon all the young journalists out here, not only to emulate what your seniors have done, but to carve out a new path, to be the true reflection of our society, to be able to show our society the truth as it is, as bare as it is. No matter how it hurts. पेनले पनि त बुझाउँछ नि धेरै कुराहरू हैन खोज्दाखेरि पनि त लाग्छ नि त त्यो लागेकोले नै maybe I will correct myself. Maybe I will be able to carve out a better path for myself, which I could not see. So be bold, be strong, but backed with the truth. No gossiping. I don't think that would be correct. No half-searched truth. As a young journalist, you may suffer these problems. Therefore, I'm telling you. You hear a version and you think it is the truth because it sounds so good. It sounds so beautiful that you think it is the truth. And therefore, you think it is important for me to write it. But have you seen the other side of the dark space? Maybe there is another truth that side. And would you be giving the truth if you have not seen the other side? It's a question you need to ask yourself before you pen what you write and put it out in the domain. Because today with social media, and Mr. Yugen is here, news travels faster than our minds. Before you think, the news is out there. The damage is done. Millions of people have already heard it. Whither the truth? Maybe the truth is not that. Did we do that research? Did we find the truth? This is my request to all of you. I do not want to spend a little more time than this. यो सत्यको खोज तपाईहरुको जारी रहोस्. तपाईहरुलाई धेरै धेरै बधाई छ. Thank you so much for allowing me.